Obersturmbannführer Werner Grothmann, the SS leader's adjutant, and another member of his staff, Sturmbannführer Heinz Macher. Towards evening, a more senior Secret Service officer arrived and began to interrogate Himmler. Meanwhile, the British began deliberating how they could retrieve intact the capsule presumed to be in Himmler's mouth. Military doctors were asked if drugs could be used to render him unconscious, but this was rejected as too risky. The interrogation was brought to a temporary close towards midnight. Himmler was taken to the headquarters of the 2nd British Army in Lüneburg. The whole time he had been in Camp 31, Himmler had appeared cooperative, from time to time positively jovial, and willing to answer the British officers' questions, or at least that was Sylvester's impression. Though at first he had seemed unwell, he had visibly recovered after being given something to eat and the chance to wash. Once in Lüneburg, Himmler was subjected to a thorough medical examination, in the course of which the doctor, Captain Wells, discovered in Himmler's mouth, which he was reluctant to open, a blue-tipped object. As Wells attempted to remove this foreign body, Himmler jerked his head to one side to avoid him. He bit into the capsule and collapsed. After 15 minutes, all further attempts to remove the remains of the poison from his mouth and to revive him were abandoned. Closer inspection revealed that the poison was cyanide. 3 days after his death, Himmler's body was buried. Only a British officer and 3 sergeants who had dug the grave were present. There was no religious ceremony, and the place of burial was unmarked. Himmler's behavior during his final days is full of contradictions. Unlike other prominent Nazis, he had not taken his own life in the last days of the war, but rather gone into hiding, although in such an amateurish manner that he and those with him were bound to be caught at some point. When he fell into Allied hands, he made sure they knew who he was, and yet then evaded responsibility through suicide. The fact that he acted in this way, and not in accordance with the virtues of an SS officer he perpetually preached, which included taking responsibility, in however crude a form, for one's own actions, was to disillusion his men deeply, and result in the posthumous reputation of the Reichsführer SS remaining largely negative, even among his former adherents. In the post-war years, no Himmler legend was waiting to be born. In May 1945, Himmler had simply been absorbed into the flood of millions of refugees and soldiers. His end appears as puzzling as his career in the service of National Socialism. How could such a banal personality attain such a historically unique position of power? How could the son of a prosperous Bavarian Catholic public servant become the organizer of a system of mass murder spanning the whole of Europe? The aim of this biography is to penetrate as far as possible the mystery of this man's personality and the motives underlying his monstrous deeds. To succeed in this, however, it is necessary to go beyond the established pattern of political biography and take into account quite literally the whole of Himmler's life in its separate stages and its various spheres of activity, including the non-political ones. Such a comprehensive biographical approach allows us to reconstruct the development of this personality, its essential character traits and typical behavior patterns in its formative years, which extend into the start of Himmler's political career, and thereby to gain insights that will illuminate his later life. This method makes it altogether possible to explain what motivated this young man from a good family to join the radical right-wing splinter party, the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP, in the mid-1920s, and what impelled someone who was fairly weak physically and nondescript in appearance to develop the protection squad, Schutzstaffel, he commanded, into the Marshal SS, and steer it on a course of selecting only the racially perfect. His personality also allows us to draw conclusions about what moved Himmler in the following years to stick stubbornly to his post in spite of defeats and frustrations, and to work consistently to build up a power structure that exercised decisive control over the territory under German domination. As far as the